not committed to this as a final product. St. Mark's in Little Rock. It's the third Sunday of Easter now. Those well-beloved Easter hymns have been sung perhaps more than once. We've whistled and hummed the familiar triumphant tunes. And if there's a personal favorite that hasn't yet made an appearance in the liturgy this year, no worries. There's plenty of Easter left. We're not even halfway through the season. Please don't think that this is some sort of veiled complaint. I really love Easter, all 50 days. I look forward to it every year. The vigil, the newly kindled fire, the brightness of white and gold, the lilt of resounding alleluias, everywhere the scent of new life flowering. All this I look forward to. And when it arrives, I embrace the joy. It's one of the things that most of us, I think, love about the church here. Its familiar, grounding rhythms. We can depend on it, and we know what's coming next. That we know how this ends is part of what makes today's gospel such a great story. Right from the start, we are lit in on a secret as yet unknown to the two travelers to Emmaus. Jesus himself came near and went with them, but their eyes were kept from recognizing him. This is delicious. Here are these two disciples talking about Jesus, and suddenly, here he is. Yet mysteriously, they don't know it's him. And he asks them, perhaps with a smile, "What are you talking about?" And we, the omniscient hearers, say to ourselves, this is going to be good. And so it is. But not initially for the two travelers. They are visibly grieved, downcast. Should we expect anything else of them? True, they are reprimanded by Jesus as foolish, slow of heart to believe. And perhaps we would justify ourselves in joining in that criticism. After all, hadn't Jesus said back in Luke chapter 9, the Son of Man must undergo great suffering and be rejected and be killed, and on the third day be raised. And now here are these two pouring out their despair by describing how it is now the third day since Jesus' rejection and crucifixion. And not only that, but the tomb has been found empty. But for them, this is not a report that brings joy. It doesn't even bring bewildered excitement. They stand there, looking sad. I want to say, people, don't you see? No, as yet, they don't. And really, that's not surprising. The Gospels were written, and we hear and read them on this side of the resurrection. But for those first disciples, how could they expect this? How could they have looked forward to Easter after seeing the one in whom they had hoped be condemned to death, left to bleed out, nailed to a cross? Jesus died. That was no fiction. I can imagine how I might react were I to lose a loved one through a violent miscarriage of justice. If someone came to me after I'd seen my loved one put in the ground and tried to tell me they'd seen a vision of angels and that he was actually alive, what kind of joke is this? I don't know what you think you're doing, but whatever it is, it's not helping. You're just making the pain worse. The despair of these disciples is a testament to the utter unexpectedness of the resurrection. And if we look long and seriously at the Easter proclamation, we also may think that this resurrection seems so unexpected, so unprecedented, as to be almost unbelievable. This thing passing strange, who could imagine it? Those who imagine it are the ones for whom the scriptures have been broken open by Jesus himself. Those who believe it are the ones whose hearts have been set aflame by communion with Christ. Those who know it are the ones to whom the risen Lord has made himself known in the breaking of the bread. We may be encouraged in seeing that in today's gospel, it is Christ who takes the initiative. It is Jesus who comes alongside them as they travel. It is Jesus who brings himself into the midst of their conversation, their sorrow and confusion. I think we may assume that these two disciples, devout Jews looking for the Messiah, knew their scriptures. But it is Jesus who opens their minds to understand the scriptures and God's plan of salvation therein. In so doing, it is Jesus who leads them into such truth that they must describe it as their hearts burning within them. It is Jesus who makes himself known when he takes bread, blesses it, breaks it, gives it. All along the way, the disciples' part is that of response to the unknown Christ reaching out to them. They welcome him to travel with them. They respond to his questions, opening themselves up to him by seeking to articulate their own disappointed hopes. They listen when he begins to open the scriptures to them. The one point where we see real initiative by the two disciples is when they arrive at the village. And he walked ahead as if he were going on, but they urged him strongly, saying, "Stay with us." At this point, they are not consciously beseeching their beloved Lord to abide with them. They are inviting in a stranger who has enlightened their minds, warmed their hearts, and who soon will open their eyes. Where might the risen Lord be in our lives? Where is the utter unexpectedness of his appearing to us today? By the very nature of that question, I cannot answer it for you or for myself. But this we can do. We can listen to the living Christ, who speaks to us today in the very scriptures that speak of him. We can confidently approach the holy table, trusting that Christ himself will be known to us there. A life fed by word and sacrament is a life that moves in expectation of the unexpected, with eyes continually washed clean to behold the Son in all his redeeming work. If we are to see him, it will be because our faith and hope are set on God. And we may hope that Christ our God, who is faithful, will come near and walk alongside us. It may be as a stranger. Welcome her. Listen to her. Invite her in to sit at your table.